Call this meeting to order. September 12th, 2022. This is a regular monthly council meeting. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lisa, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Peter Drappo.
Here.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Here.
Joseph Gravel.
Here.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Everyone is present.
Before we go to the next one, Lisa, I just want to say that Aroma Joe's is having their grand opening on Wednesday at 11 o'clock, and all the council has been invited. I know I haven't been able to contact all of you yet, but all the council is invited and everybody's invited. Okay.
Free coffee?
I can't repeat because I don't know if she said a free drink for everybody who attends or just for a few, but I think it's for everybody that attends.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, which is August 15th of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? Lisa?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next item is communications. We have boards and committee appointments for the planning board. Appointments for Lynn Choate and Walter Ellery Keene. These are both reappointments, renewals.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this gonna get Lynn back on the normal?
That's why Lynn is on here now, Jeff, to get it back on the normal schedule.
Okay, great, thank you.
Lisa?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Both appointments pass 7-0. Next item under communications is a presentation from Sebasticook Regional Land Trust.
Is there somebody here from Sebasticook Regional Land Trust? Nobody here.
Moving on.
Okay, we'll move on.
Our next item is reports of committees and commissions.
Make a motion to accept all reports. Oh, sorry. Yes, I forgot. Down there, it's gonna go first. My bad.
I don't have to, you can skip. My mouth is dry.
You in a hurry tonight, Jeff?
Not at all, actually.
Okay.
Lisa said 6:15.
Oh, we're getting close. Erica, you're up.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, esteemed members of the council, I'm just actually kind of floored we're already sitting here with August already over. It's gone way too fast. With summer being over and the kids back in school, I want to congratulate our Parks and Rec Director, Amanda McCaslin, and her staff for pulling off another really successful season of youth sports programming and the summer fun camp. I know there was a lot of new staff this year. There were some hurdles to overcome, some learning curves, and once again, they really pulled it all together, made a huge success out of it, and got through all the bumps and the few little challenges that they had very well. Parents and kids happy, so another good year for them. I wanted to let everybody know as well that in August we started the full implementation of our Performance Improvement Management Program for Human Resources. This is what we really haven't been doing. Our personnel policy speaks to it, but we really haven't been doing regular performance reviews for people. And as most of you know, when I redid the union contracts, I heard that, Adam. The part of the implementation to get step increases in the wages was a successful performance review. So we've formalized that through all departments, not just the union departments. We've started, I've already written 3 of them. I think that's, I apologize. My new phone thinks that I'm always talking to it. It's on silent, but it thinks I'm asking it questions. That's my new town phone, not my personal phone. At any rate, we've been doing performance evaluations. So far, it's going really well. All department heads are on board. We're also doing exit interviews prior to issuing the performance review for individual employees. Employees will all be getting, every 6 months, they'll get a questionnaire that kind of is just a check-in, asking the employee how things are going, what's your favorite part about being here, what do you consider your successes in the last few months, just to try to keep the employees involved so it's an actual meaningful process. So kind of excited to get that going. HR is going to be taking over all tracking so that we keep it in one central place, because really our official performance record, or our official personnel record overall, should be in the HR office. We did make the decision last month in August to move the council chambers to the library. That's involving both construction, new furniture, trying to get that off the ground. We came close to being able to get it done for this meeting, not quite though, so we are planning in October to hold our first meetings over at the library. I would like to thank both Chairman Macklin and Councilor Drapo, because both of them really pitched in to help make this happen as far as the logistics of getting stuff done over there. So last thing we got to do is get the furniture and we'll be ready to go. This is going to pave the way for us to actually renovate this part of the facility. Greg Vigu has drawn up some plans for us. This is going to turn into 3 separate sections, which will house the HR and Finance Director's office. We will have a small break room at one end of it, so people actually have a place to sit down and have their lunch, where right now we've got a closet-sized little area where you can just about turn around to use the microwave and the refrigerator, but somewhere that employees can actually take a break and sit down for their half-hour lunch and not be disturbed. But also we're going to have a conference room that'll house about 15 people for a lot of the meetings that we still have over here that we don't need quite this big a room, but we still need to be able to hold the meetings. So looking forward to getting that going. And that will mean Tanya moves over to this side of the hall, and Katie can actually have an actual office instead of, we kind of have her stuck out in the middle of traffic right now in that room over there. We kind of were discussing this about the Hampton tour tomorrow. We are going to tour the Hampton Municipal facility. That's a combined municipal complex, which is kind of the same thing that we're looking at doing potentially here. So we've got several department heads and a couple of the committee members that are going to be traveling down there just to see what things look like and kind of get some ideas for what a facility like that could look like. Code enforcement officer and I have been hard at work this last month on drafting the property maintenance ordinance that you all will be discussing later this evening. It's not ready yet for the final language hasn't been put together, but we're still going to have a discussion for you all to put your input onto the draft and have a final copy for you next month to vote on. There's also wasn't time to have a public hearing, so we have to have that. In sad news, I'm reporting that the co-chairs of our Winslow Garden Club have resigned. I want to thank the Dutils, Rick and Sue, for putting in a lot of work and a lot of time getting that going this summer. The group did a great job. If you've noticed all the plantings out here around the town office, everything down in Fort Halifax Park, that's all their efforts. So we are reconvening the remaining members and keep things moving, but Rick and Sue will be missed. In project updates, the comprehensive plan, we had our last meeting on August 24th, and we managed to review and finalize the existing land use chapter, the community profile, and housing profile chapters. We didn't quite get to, that was an hour and a half for all of us. We didn't quite get to future land use, so we'll be reviewing that at our next meeting, which will be on September 28th. That's going to be the bulk of what we have to complete for the comprehensive plan. So that's been a project that's been in progress since 2018, and hopefully we'll be able to finally get that document finalized. Junior high environmental study, we are still waiting on the final report. I don't have any new update on that. We are, however, Shelley and I have coordinated to start moving along with the decommissioning, because there are bills starting to come in, and technically as of August, the school no longer owns that building. We do, as the town. So That means that we have to pay for anything that is still being maintained over there. The plan is to shut down the vast majority of it. We've already got in the works that we're shutting down the elevators. We are shutting down the water supply. What we won't be shutting down completely is the electricity, because we do need to maintain the burglar alarm system over there. There's already a lot of break-ins over there. It's getting vandalized regularly. So for our own liability, we need to keep that system active so we know when people are trying to get in there. So those two things will have to be maintained, but we won't be heating it this winter. It's just going to be bare, like just to keep a pulse. That's all we're going to be doing over there. Ending on a high note, I would like to recognize some of our fire department staff, Captain Waylon Cap, firefighter Misha Littlefield, and firefighter Cam Aucoin, for their outstanding service to one of our residents, Jean Ann Pollard. She took the time to write in a note of gratitude for their assistance when she called for emergency services in her home. I did attach her letter to my report. It's very complimentary to our staff, but I would like to thank these three in particular for providing the highest level of service to our residents. And I think they're providing a shining example of the excellence that does exist within that department and serving our public. So thank you very much to them. That's all I have for you this month.
Could they stand up?
They are not all here.
They're not, okay.
I did inform the chief that I would be recognizing them, but I'm not sure who's on shift and who's not. So, and unfortunately, the chief could also not be here tonight. He's had a family situation. So,
Can that letter be put on the website if it hasn't already?
we actually
Or is
published it out to Facebook when it came in.
Okay.
So, I got one question. On the junior high environmental study, we're looking basically at when can we get their report into us? A couple of months?
No idea. I don't ever get contacted directly from Craig Wilson. I know that he has a backlog. He's one of the few people in the country doing this right now. Our goal was to be able to shut this thing down for this winter, which we are doing. So, but we aren't going to know how we can move forward with it until we get the environmental study back.
So, do you know what that environmental study is going to entail?
It entails all of the potential environmental concerns that would have to do with either repurposing that building or tearing it down. It includes things like what's in the walls, what's in the insulation, what's underground. We know we have some stuff buried underground out there that could be problematic for ever doing anything with that building that would involve going below the surface. So anything that gets put there may not be able to have a basement. It's the full study. Originally, back this spring, we were waiting for the preliminary report, which we have, but they have to do the full study because we can't really move forward with any kind of RFP to demolish or any kind of sale, if that's the way the council decided to go with it, until we have a full understanding of what hazards exist in that facility.
So if it came out that we can repurpose it, and we don't at least heat some of this, we could be in an expensive proposition with frozen pipes.
That's why we're taking out all the water. The pipes are all going to be drained.
I've seen that happen before, and we landed up not here, but at a reserve center with busted pipes, and they drained them all.
Respectfully, Counselor, your cohort here has decided that this is the way I am to move forward with this building,
Right.
and I can't really give you any other details without going against what you all charged me with doing, which was to decommission this building.
I'm all set.
Thank you.
Anything else for Erica's report?
Not,
Paul, are you here for a report or just for something later on the agenda?
There's something later on.
Okay. That's it for department head reports?
I need a motion.
In that case,
So move.
make a motion to accept all reports as
Your
presented.
turn.
Yeah. Second.
Got it.
Lisa?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Maslin.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is public comment.
Is there any member from the public who would like to speak on any item that is not on tonight's agenda? There being none, we will have no public comment tonight.
Yeah.
What was that?
To be voted on tonight's agenda, to be more specific. So discussion items would not be considered on the agenda. If anyone's here to discuss fireworks, now is your time to speak.
Yes.
No, we don't want to do it under
I
discussion.
see that there is a,
Fireworks is not a resolution. It's the public. It's the,
Could you state
property
your name
maintenance
and
it's
your...
under.
Hold on, guys.
Hold on, just a sec.
I would,
The-
here's what I would suggest though. If you want to wait to do this, you're going to keep people here all night till all that stuff. Get it over with.
We can move it ahead if you like.
Yeah, we'll move it up. Generally, this would wait until we came to the fireworks ordinance, but since you're here, you're...
no,
you're up to-
that's what I
No,
thought.
so right,
I can
no.
wait. I can wait.
The only difference is gonna be, you're gonna have to wait. Well, we can take you right now.
I'll wait my turn.
Okay.
Apologize. I was thinking that we went just a second.
Okay.
All set?
Okay, we're all set, Lisa.
Our next item
Tabled.
is tabled business. We have resolution number 20-2022, providing for authorization for the town manager to enter into an agreement with Overlash and Conduit Agreement by and between CRC Communications LLC, DBA Go Net Speed, its successors, and assigns a Delaware corporation with its principal offices at 56 Campus Drive, New Gloucester, Maine, in the town of Waterville and the town of Winslow.
I'll move to, this is tabled right now, I'll move to take it off the table.
Second?
Any discussion?
Question?
No, Bill's got a question for me. I must have done something wrong.
No, you haven't done anything wrong. Just Waterville and Winslow both need to adopt an identical resolution here, contract. And I heard you say Town of Waterville. Waterville changed the agreement to say the City of Waterville, and the reference to towns is now, it's municipalities. So just to make sure if you're passing this, you pass the same thing that Waterville's passing.
It got, unfortunately, that just didn't get changed on the agenda. It did get corrected in the document itself.
Oh, okay, fine. Just want to make sure, otherwise they don't quite match up.
Right.
Oh, they're getting technical, aren't they, Bill? Town to city?
Question.
Yes, Lee?
Regarding this item, I know we had spoke at previous meetings. Peter had mentioned something about the wording, about whether the town had a responsibility or not.
I think you're still discussing whether to take it off the
Yeah.
table or not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we need to
Oh,
vote that.
okay.
You're jumping one ahead. I do have
All right.
Nathan Trask here to answer any questions you
Okay,
have.
thank you, sorry about that.
Any discussion on taking this off the table? No discussion, Lisa, so we'll have a roll call.
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Mackey.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Abstain.
Abstain, thank you. And Lee Trahan.
Yes.
So it's 6-1.
Okay, now we're open for discussion on the item itself.
Okay.
Lee?
Mr. Chairman, question I just had, I know that in previous meetings, it was brought up about the terminology and the wording regarding the town of Winslow's responsibility long-term. I was curious if that wording got resolved and whether or not the town of Winslow would still be responsible financially long-term.
Peter?
Is that a question to me?
No, but, Erica?
Yes, I did take all of your concerns back to Go NetSpeed. Nathan Trask is with us tonight via Zoom, and I can let Nathan speak to that. But the wording just needed to be clarified. There was never any intent for the town to be responsible for anything that we are not already responsible for. So when it talks about our connections, our poles, it's the items that we already have connected, so our own fiber that's already connected to those poles, not Otelco's. If something goes wrong with the equipment that we already own, then we would be solely responsible for it. If something goes wrong with Go NetSpeed's equipment, then they are solely responsible for it. But the wording wasn't very clear on that initially, so I asked them to reword that and try to get some more clarity on that. I did have Bill Lee review it. Again, the one objection was the town versus city nomenclature, which we did correct that as well. Nathan, I know you're here with us. I can see you on the screen, but did you want to add in anything that would be helpful for the council as they prepare to vote?
I think, with all due respect, Erica, to Mr. Trask, Peter, would you want to speak on this? You spoke on it last time, and I think...
I've read the existing contract as it is presented tonight twice. Everything that I had a concern with has been addressed. Eric is 100% right. Any responsibilities we will have going forward are the same responsibilities we had last year, the year before, with our existing fiber cable. I see nothing in this to hold the town liable for anything they're not already liable for. So to answer your question, all of my concerns have been addressed.
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
And there's a lot of legal language in this that I'm familiar with because of my past, and Bill is very familiar with. So it's just that, isn't it, Bill? You don't have any concerns with it at all?
I do not.
Okay.
That being the case, I know a lot of us, last meeting, voted to table, or we all did, based on Peter and at the time Jeff. Does any other councilor have any concerns that Peter's looked at it in depth, in full, and we can take a vote on it?
So we need a
I'm good.
motion. Do you want a motion to approve it?
Yeah.
Make a motion, we approve
Second?
as written.
And we should have our discussion now, but I think the discussion is over, Lisa. We'll have a roll call.
Alrighty, Peter Drappo?
Yes?
Dale Macklin?
Yes?
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Abstain.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
So it's 6-0-1, so it passes.
Is there a necessity for a waiving the second reading?
No, it's a resolution.
Correct? Yeah.
Our next item on the agenda is old business. It is order number 9-2022 amended, an amendment to order number 9-2022, which was approved on May 12th of 2022. The amended order will correct an error which refers to the maximum interest rate for the year at 6% and should be changed to 4%.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Being no discussion, Lisa?
Peter Drappo?
Yes.
Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Jerry Kurian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Order number 9-2022 passes. Next item is order number 22-2022, providing for authorization for the town manager to sell the property located at South Reynolds Road in Winslow, tax map 2, lot 40-B, for the amount of $2,400 to Nancy and Timothy Reynolds.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Yes, Lee?
I'm sure this came up before, but I was just curious about that parcel of land. Is that, the $2,400, is that fair market value?
Yes, it's at $1,200 an acre, or $1,500 an acre.
Okay.
It's whatever Judy told me was the fair market value.
Okay.
My
I-
calculations aren't in front of me.
All right.
But yes, it's the same price we've been charging for other vacant lands that we've sold. We've had a couple other parcels since my time that we've sold. And I can't remember if it's 1,000 or 1,500, but
Okay,
whichever one it is that she has instructed me as the fair market value is
All right.
the amount we're using.
thank you. I just wanted to double check.
Nothing further? Lisa?
Peter Drappo?
Yes.
Dale Macklin?
Yes?
Jerry Querian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next up is new business. Order number 23-2022, providing for authorization for the town manager to enter into a mutual aid agreement with the town of Oakland, providing mutual aid response for fire, EMS departments, and other municipalities.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Ray?
Right now, the backup for Oakland, is that primarily Delta? It wouldn't be us as a primary backup, right? It's still Delta ambulance for Oakland backup. If they had EMS service, what would be the,
I'm really not the person to, I'm not the expert on this. I would refer that to the fire chief.
What I
Okay.
can tell you, Ray, is no, this
Okay.
doesn't have any impact on who the primary responder is. This is a renewal of the existing mutual aid agreement. It just hasn't been updated since the 1990s.
yeah?
So this is refreshing it for current, to reflect the current managers that are in charge, the current fire chiefs.
Yep.
There's no end date on this agreement, so it's just a renewal
Yeah,
of,
and, you know, 3 years ago, we were still a fire department, only basically and not a transportation unit. And if EMS agreements change in the future, I just want to make sure that we understand what the transporting ambulance portion of this is as far as mutual aid goes.
we don't have a mutual aid transport agreement with Oakland because they don't have an ambulance. We only have mutual aid for similar services.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Lisa, roll call?
Peter Drappo?
Yes.
Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Jerry Querian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
First reading passes 7-0. Our next item is order number 24-2022, providing for authorization for the town manager to accept the main infrastructure adaptation fund grant agreement entered into by and between the state of Maine, acting by and through its Department of Transportation and the town of Winslow.
So moved.
Second? Discussion?
Question?
Lee?
Is this the grant that we got for the $2.7 million?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you.
We have a roll call, Lisa?
We can. Peter Drappo?
Yes.
Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Jerry Querian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
First reading passes 7-0. Next item is order number 25-2022, authorization for the town manager to sign an amendment to a sewer and stormwater easement agreement with Derozan Builders Incorporated, which would reduce the current easement agreement from 60 feet to 20 feet.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Peter.
Paul, is this the easement that cuts in behind Roderick Road?
Yes.
Okay. I'm all set.
Any further discussion? There being none, Lisa, we'll have a roll call.
Peter Drappo?
Yes.
Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Jerry Querian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
And Lee Trahan?
Yes.
First reading passes 7-0.
Is there a time restraint on this for the solar farm, Rainey, at all? Or would there be a hurry to waive the second reading on this? Is it cramping up the solar farm project?
Yes, it is.
I make a motion to waive the second reading, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Lisa?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Second reading waived and approved.
So that'll go into effect in 30 days. 30 days from the date, today's vote, that's when it goes into effect, and we'll be able to execute that.
Alrighty. Next item is Resolution 21-2022, providing for authorization for the town manager to sign the Department of Transportation Modification Number 2 to project contract.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you.
Any discussion? Yes, Lee?
I was looking that over, and have we had regular increases? Or is this the first increase since the original contract in 2009?
No, there's a built-in escalator that goes up every year. This one actually is bumping it further than what we were scheduled to get for an increase. So it's kind of a one-time thing this year to catch us up, and then we'll move back to the 1.5% that we've been getting every year as of next year. But for this year, because of the consumer price index being so high, they were increasing our payout.
Okay,
So,
all right, thank you.
Lisa, roll call?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes?
Jerry Clarion.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Resolution number 21 passes 7-0. Our next item is resolution number 22-2022, providing for pole location permit, Central Maine Power Company and Consolidated Communications of Northern New England Company, LLC, work order number 801-000473648.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? There being no discussion, Lisa?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next item is resolution number 23-2022. It is providing for a pole location permit, Central Maine Power Company and Consolidated Communications of Northern New England Company, LLC, work order number 801-00049-0008.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Question?
Yes, Lee?
In regard, I know it kind of related to the last one as well, but I just noticed on this one, the request was just to move the pole 35 feet. Is that typical to put in a driveway or an entryway just to move a pole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
That's, is that the intersection of Garland Road and China Road?
Yes.
Okay.
Lisa?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 24-2022, providing for authorization for the town manager to proclaim September 17th to the 23rd, Constitution Week, as requested by the Daughters of the American Revolution.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Lisa?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Resolution number 24 passes 7-0. Next item is resolution number 25-2022, authorization for the town clerk to include a referendum to ban fireworks in the town of Winslow. This referendum would be included on the November 8th, 2022 election ballot and voted on by the residents of Winslow.
So moved.
Second.
We'll open up discussion. Are there any emails on
None.
this? None at all? Okay. We'll open it up to public participation at this time. Any member of the public can speak for 5 minutes on this item. The 5 minutes is yours, how you want to use it. If you want to ask questions of the council, you can, but keep in mind that the council's answer is part of your 5 minutes.
I understand,
Okay? And we, as always, treat everybody with respect.
as always.
You're up, sir. 5 minutes.
Name's Vern Carlo, I'm with Pirate City Fireworks, and I understand that there's a referendum going on to have fireworks banned in the city of Winslow. I mean, the town of Winslow, excuse me. I guess our first concern and question is, as a company, is why it's coming up. I haven't heard of a lot of complaints from citizens, noise complaints. I haven't had the police at my place looking for selling to minors. I haven't had the fire company over there looking because somebody started a fire. I don't understand, we don't understand as a business what is bringing on the will to want to ban fireworks in the town of Winslow. I think that's our first question, is what is inducing the need to ban fireworks in the town of Winslow?
You
Does
directing that
anybody
to
have
the
an answer
council?
for that? Anybody that's, we don't even know who put the resolution in, so I don't know who to direct my question to.
Okay, anybody want to answer?
I can if you'd like.
Go ahead.
I asked for the resolution to be put in. I've had complaints for probably 10 years. I live out in the outskirts of Winslow. There are farms around, there are veterans around, there are elderly around, and there are a lot of people with a lot of pets. Now, that all being said, it has nothing to do with the ability of your company to be able to sell fireworks in the town of Winslow. That's going to be excluded. We are not going to say they cannot be sold. We are going to ask that they cannot be fired off in this community. As far as complaints, I believe every councilor that's sitting here has had complaints. To what extent depends on the council. Anytime you let off loud noises after 9 o'clock at night, you're creating a problem. Now, you may say it's not a problem, but it is. It is to certain people. And those certain people, again, are veterans with any sort of condition, the elderly who go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, anybody with pets, or any farmer with livestock.
I understand the concerns.
Now,
We do.
What were your other questions? I'm sorry, you jumbled everything into one.
So I understand where that concern is coming from. I suppose, I mean, it's like having a business in a town and not be able to sell your product there. I mean, if you can't sell ice cream in town, why would you put an ice cream shop there? I mean, we have a lot of our business comes from this community.
Can you tell me how much of that business comes from Winslow in a percentage?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I could get that number. But again, you're talking about putting a business out of business because they can't sell their product to the local community.
So you're telling me that over 50% of your sales are in Winslow?
No, I wouldn't say 50% of our sales are from Winslow, but a majority, a significant amount of our sales come from customers in Winslow, especially this time of year. In the summertime, you're right, we get customers from all over. Once it gets seasonal, it's the local people that are driving by the store, stopping to pick up something for a birthday party that night, wedding, graduation, that sort of program.
And again, the majority of the council felt that the fairest way to do this was to put it to the public. So if you have that large of a majority of your customer base that comes from Winslow, they will vote this down. The people will vote on this. We're not voting on this. All we're voting on is to send it to referendum.
I
okay?
understand that.
So at this point of the game, the ball would, once it goes to referendum, the ball will be in your court.
Okay, I understand, thank
But
you.
if you have any other questions, we'd be more than
I don't have
happy
any
to.
other questions.
But I would really like to know the accurate figure as to what amount of sales are in Winslow and how to substantiate that figure.
Well, we would have to go in and get them figures by zip codes. We have we keep a database on all our customers.
Oh.
Every sale we do goes through a database. We
Okay,
keep
so-
that record
You track that via zip code?
via zip code.
Okay, well, Waterville zip, 04901 is
Yes, I know
Waterville,
that.
Benton.
Yeah,
So-
I understand that.
Yeah,
But Waterville's already been banned for years. The only sales we get out of Waterville are the 4th of July sales, people getting fountains and that sort of stuff at the 4th of July. I mean, the majority of our sales from September through May come from the local community. That's who we do our business with. People don't come up here from Bingham to buy fireworks in December.
Where's
They
the
do in
closest-
July, but they don't in December.
Where's the closest store to you?
From here,
Yep.
Manchester and Farmington.
So you pretty much have the market share for everything from Augusta north.
Yeah, until, of ours, there's other stores. Newport has stores, there's a person up Newport that owns 3 stores. Phantom has stores, there's stores in,
I'm gonna stop it. 5 minutes is up.
5 minutes is up.
We've gone over and we gave you some time, but I think we're gonna have a discussion. Is there anybody else in the public who wants to speak on fireworks?
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you. So we'll open it up to the council for discussion now, and some of your questions may be answered through discussion of the council. I'll just start it by saying that this, like Peter said, we are not voting on this as a council. The only thing we are voting on here tonight is to send it to referendum with the language that Lisa read. That's all we're doing tonight. And I've looked at alternatives to this. If we word it the other way, that it stays as it is, we're gonna get the opposite group of people are gonna say, well, why didn't you put it on to banned? So no matter which one of those alternatives you choose, the other side's gonna be involved. I've thought of how to do it, restricting it only in certain areas of town. At one time, Rocky, the urban compact zone, those lines go right through the middle of people's property sometimes, if you look on the map, and will go right through a farmer's field. If you take it by council districts, one side of the road, yes, the other side of the road, no. What's fair? So I think that's why I would support the townwide ban on the use of fireworks in town. Anybody else? Ray?
Yeah, my 15 years on the council, probably a lot of the complaints that I've received have been fireworks related, whether it's in town and especially in town. I think the vast majority of people use fireworks responsibly. I think we have an election coming up. It's the perfect time to put it to, I think it's a good idea to put it to referendum. It's going to be, my only concern putting it to referendum would be that the turnout would be so low that we wouldn't get a representative of the town voting on this issue, but it's a gubernatorial race, and I think that we'll have a good turnout, that we'll have a representative of the people. I think we should do the best we can to explain it on the website, what's going to be voted on, and that it is coming up. And I think that that's important, and I support it going to referendum, and I think it's a good thing.
And Bill, you obviously wrote it, so you're confident that the language is good to go to referendum?
Yeah.
The language as
If
written?
anybody has a copy of it, I'd like to take a quick look
Yeah,
at it.
I don't have a copy of it even.
One person at a time, please. I did propose, in the line, I think, of Councilor Grappo's request, that made it clear that it wasn't a ban on the sale of fireworks. This would be a ban on the discharge
I don't
file.
have a.
Excuse me.
So I'd like to see the copy of it again, since I proposed that amendment at your request, and I don't think I've seen it since.
Bill, could you give this to the gentleman from the fireworks place, folks? Let me check.
And the other thing I asked for, Bill, and I read it, and it was addressed, that this also does not pertain to any...
This is exactly what we have, sir. Sorry, Peter.
any organization or group of people that want to get a permit from the state fire marshal's office to have a professional display done.
Right, they get, yes, they can get it.
Correct, right.
We're not gonna try to have them get a municipal permit, because the state has basically preempted that
Right,
deal.
yeah.
Okay.
Just, I
Yes,
don't
Ray?
mean to extend this conversation, it could go on for a long time. But I think I would have been, although I do agree that a referendum is a very positive thing, I would have been in more probably agreement if we would have tried to limit the dates that we could have had fireworks, the places we could have had fireworks. I wish that the council would have attacked that and come up with maybe a compromising situation here in town, but we did it. And other than again, I can
Oh, it's not too
understand.
late, Ray. You can propose some amendments to that if you want.
I'm gonna vote right now on a ban, because I think that's what should go to the public, and the complaints I've heard, I support a referendum to go out to the public.
Rocky?
Out in my neck of the woods, I haven't had any complaints personally for fireworks issues. Not saying there isn't people complaining to other people, but I haven't had anybody, other than one person actually, that emailed me that has property on Petty's Pond, but does not live here, just has a summer camp here, is the only one that I've had. Following up with Councilman Karen, yeah, I'd like to see where we could have had more discussion maybe and come up with something different, but ultimately, this way the public has a chance to weigh in on it. I would encourage all my constituents out in my neck of the woods to go and vote, if they do feel strongly about this issue.
Well, I think, Rocky, this is the ultimate democratic process that we can have,
Correct.
is having the voters decide.
Yeah.
And if it's a close vote, maybe there's something we can do later on down the road. If it's not so close, then at least we know where the voters stand. And you can't get any more democratic than that.
No, just encourage voters to come out and vote, because I know a lot of the people that probably use fireworks typically don't vote. That's the only concern I would have, but.
Erica?
I just wanted to add a couple of things. I don't have a vote in this, and I don't want to have a vote in it. But I will point out that there have been multiple residents in your jurisdiction that actually have contacted me,
All right.
if they have not contacted you. And again, a lot of it out there has to do with being the rural district, wildlife, and farming. That's the people that are against it. And I think you probably are right. The people that are less likely to want the ban are also the ones who are more likely to take to Facebook and make comments rather than participate in the process. So I agree with that. But again, if people feel strongly about that, they should come out and vote. To me, the problematic part of trying to put conditions on the whens, the wheres, is it becomes very difficult to enforce. I know some of you have had discussions with our police chief. He did bring up issues last time when we were discussing this about how difficult it is to enforce. I know our fire department has difficulty with going out there and quashing displays, because the rules that are out there, they have to be caught in the act when they're violating the rules, and that could be difficult. And the more confusing we make it as to, you can do it on, it would be nice if we had like a geographic barrier where we could say, everything in this geography, regardless of your district or your council or everything, we're going to allow everything over there. That would be like something that's very clear to people.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah, and it's a lot more, it's just difficult with what we've got here. So that would be my only concern with having with having something that was based on specific times and places, is I would be concerned that we wouldn't be able to actually enforce it, that we'd be handing off to our police and fire departments something that they would have a very difficult time making people comply.
Jerry?
Yeah, I'll go with Rocky. I have never had any complaints of fireworks from my constituents, of fireworks going off. And I hear them once in a while. I don't know about the other districts. There's 3 more. But one of the problems is it's going to be very hard to try to enforce a ban. Waterville's tried it. They haven't been successful. Your police department is running back and forth ragged to the point where Waterville backed away from trying to enforce their ban. And this, the same thing can happen here. I'm not saying, I think that we're rushing into this way too quick. We should sit down, see what we can get for a compromise, and include the business that sells these fireworks. I don't want to put them out of business. We might say we're not doing that, but we're actually might be forcing them out of business, out of the town. Shows Winslow as being anti-business. I'm all set.
Okay, anybody else? Bill?
Yes, if I may. When I was asked to put together a draft ordinance, I did it in as short a fashion as possible because it was going to come up for discussion. And since then, I think the idea has changed to have it go out to referendum. So what I had done on subsection 1A, I just said it has, consumer fireworks has a definition contained in 8 MRSA section 221-A as amended, and I left it at that. And likewise, I did the same thing with the definition of fireworks, keeping it short. What's been done since then is that the actual detailed definition that is contained in section 221A has been included both for consumer fireworks and regular fireworks. And if that's going to be the case, then I think you ought to delete the original line that I had, which consumer fireworks, it has a definition contained in 8 MRS section 221-A as amended, and then under it, just delete that because it ends up being a little repetitive this way.
That was done for clarity so that people would understand what they were looking at.
Exactly,
I
it's going to
don't,
go out to referendum. I think that's a better way of doing it. I just drafted it for purposes originally of a discussion, and I kept it rather short. So I think but we don't need to say it has the definition contained in a particular statute, and then underneath it, just recite what that definition is. Strike the first line and just put in the statutory definition, which has several parts, and do that also for fireworks itself.
Okay, I don't have my copy.
Well, I'm gonna get your, let me get it back.
No, we can get it here. Just how to word the amendment, that's all.
Yeah. What you're gonna be doing, you just be definitions, you're gonna delete that line, and then it's gonna be this, and you delete the fireworks line as well, referencing section 221A.
Through the chair to legal counsel.
Yes, sir.
What is, I don't have mine because you got it.
Oh, I got your, well,
Yeah,
actually,
no,
now
that's
I
all
don't
right,
have your
that's all
copy.
right.
The chair
It
has your
says
copy.
right here, it says,
statement, one just say definitions, and then just move it to
no, the next section. That section right there. There we go. Yep, okay. It says right here, a person, the commissioner shall issue a permit to process and conduct a firework or flame effect display to any applicant who applies in writing to the commissioner. Who is the commissioner?
Whatever commissioner deals with
You looking
fireworks.
for a name or a department, Jerry?
State Fire Marshal's office,
State Fire
Jerry.
Marshal's
Probably what
office.
it is, yeah.
So right now, we're guessing it, who's the commissioner?
No, no,
No.
If you read
No,
through
it's-
if you read through some more of this, Jerry, it mentions the State Fire Marshal's office 5-6 times,
I
Yeah.
read it.
okay?
That is the state definition,
State
so
fire
if it's
marshal, state fire
unclear,
marshal.
that's at the state level, not at the town level.
right.
There is a process.
It's only the state fire marshal's office that's gonna grant permits for displays. They basically, the state has preempted this field. You're gonna have a municipal permit to have a display, the language has to be identical to the state language, and it's very detailed, the requirements to get a permit to conduct a display of fireworks, with the liability insurance, the distances, all sorts of protections that have to be built in, so that in fact a display of fireworks on the 4th of July, for example, is safe, or relatively safe.
So
It's all
basically,
regulated by state statute.
so what we have is basically a statute that is, how would I say this? Okay, that is, commercial fireworks display and a consumer fireworks display.
If somebody wants to put on a fireworks display, they have to get a permit from the state, and there's a detailed set of rules that apply statutorily and probably by regulation as well. Well, what must be met before that can be done? So if you want to put on a display of consumer fireworks, you gotta get a permit from the state. If you want to use the big stuff, you gotta get a permit from the state with a detailed set of rules conducting how that's going to be conducted, performed.
If you use the big stuff, you're gonna have to be licensed.
Can I go through the chair?
Yes, Ray?
Do you know which lines we have to strike out
Yes,
at
I'm all
this
set for the
particular
motion to
time?
amend, Ray. Yeah.
Could you tell us what lines to be stricken out, and then we'll vote on we'll vote on it
Yeah.
at this time?
Yeah.
Because I think we've discussed enough at this point and understand the legal ramifications. Thank you, Jerry. But let's give us a definition of what has to be striked out, and then we'll vote on it.
Okay, I'm making a motion to amend Resolution 25-2022 to delete therefrom under the paragraph of definitions. A, consumer fireworks. It has the definition contained in 8 MRS 221-A as amended.
Okay.
And then the second amendment would be on the definition of fireworks itself, further down.
This one here.
And the,
B?
And
B.
Oh, I'm sorry.
also to amend it to remove, delete B, fireworks. It has a definition contained in 8 MRS 221-A as amended.
Those two will be straight.
I second that.
Any discussion? There being no discussion, Lisa, roll call on the amendment.
Peter Drappo.
Yes?
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Kurian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Amended portion passes 7-0.
Okay,
I'd like to put an amendment
go ahead.
that we set up a committee to look at this. And I know that some of the councilors won't like it. And make a decision. We can always bring it up to referendum.
So you want to make a motion that we appoint a committee?
Yes.
Is that motion seconded? There being no second, the motion fails. So now I move to accept resolution number 252022 as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Lisa, roll call.
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Kurian.
No.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Passes 6-1.
Okay. Last resolution, Lisa, when you get a minute?
Our last resolution.
Oops, that's yours.
Oh, whoops, sorry. Number 26-2022, providing for authorization for the town manager to negotiate and execute energy contracts with Maine Power Options at the current market rate for the year 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? There being no discussion, Lisa, roll call.
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Cleary.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. We have now moved on to discussion items. First item is Fort Halifax panels.
I'm gonna try this, Ray,
Okay,
just
yeah,
so you know,
go
it's
ahead.
freezing up my computer because those files are kind of big, so hopefully I can make this happen.
Sure, sure.
And that's why I was wondering, whether they can't do it.
Can we close the doors, please?
No, we have to leave one open.
We do.
We have to leave one open. I do believe so.
If
I
not,
mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
oh, great, that's good. We've been working with the Friends of Fort Halifax and the town of Winslow, and Dan Tortora, who wrote the book on Fort Halifax. We came up with some ideas for some interpretive panels down at the fort, to put down at the fort to explain a lot of the work that has been done by the fort, but also the history of the fort. This would be panel number 1. This would be a 4-foot by 3-foot that would be mounted at a 45-degree angle, similar to the mounting that we have for the fish display down at the fort. This would be the first panel, and you can see what we tried to do is we tried to get Mr. Winslow, Mr. Lisco, some of the history of the fort, a picture of the fort, some of the struggles, some statistics, the original fort design that was supposed to, and then the fort design there. A lot of history about the fort, some original newspaper articles about what happened down at the fort. So that would be panel number 1. And then these would be weatherproof panels that would last for, maybe 15 to 20 years is what you normally get out of a panel.
I'll try to bring up
Could you go to
panel number
panel
2.
2?
Yep.
You can see, I'm a history nut. You can see that during the original construction of the fort, there were actually 2 separate blockhouses up on where Fort Cemetery is, and where we think it was close to Sand Hill was another blockhouse with a palisade around both of those blockhouses up on those 2 hills there. And this is where the original blockhouse is. This is the officers' quarters, the second blockhouse, the gatehouse, and then you have the enlisters and quarters there.
Bear with me just a second here.
Yep.
Okay, this should be...
Dan Tortora has been instrumental in getting this interpretive sign made for us.
Let me see if I can make this one bigger.
It doesn't matter. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't.
Whoops.
That's a little too big.
It's a little too big. I'm trying to get there. I need to get just to the,
Yeah.
sorry, I have lost my mind on how I use
No,
the
don't
actual slideshow feature here. And I also,
You can make it smaller like you had it when you first opened it, would be fine.
see if I want to get rid of the comments.
F5
F5?
should do it. You might have to use function in F5 to get it to work. That is PowerPoint, right?
Yes.
F5 thought should make it full.
Hallelujah, you are awesome, Chad.
Okay, and this would be the second panel, and again, you can see the fort where it was, the Fuller Halifax Park. There's the bulk house. Here's all the industry that was down there at one time, lumber yard, used cars, and all kinds of stuff. And then the reenactment. This is the DAR was instrumental in doing the work through the years. This is a 1874 picture of when they renovated it prior to, along. These are some of the people in town. The middle one here is Mimi Garland from, of course, a lot of you guys know Mimi Garland. This would be the second panel. We're not really sure how we would mount them, but it would be near where the paver section is, where the monument section is there. And so that's what we would do. And I just wanted to inform the council, the Friends of Fort Halifax are paying for the interpretive signs, and I've gone around and got funding for the stands too. So be no cost to the town, and hopefully it would be just another addition to Fort Halifax that we would do. And what we plan on doing in the next year is, this is pretty much fort related, but it was a historic site, obviously, for the Sebastopol and Kennebec, for Indian. It was an Indian village. So we're in the process right now of gathering historical data and have another interpretive sign strictly with the Native Americans and what that site did prior to 1750s when the British came and did that. So that's just wanted to bring you up to speed. And if anybody's got any comments or concerns, just let us know.
Thanks, Ray.
That's right. Next, Lisa?
Our next discussion item is cancel the ambulance. United Way Impact 2032 endorsement request.
So that's on there for me. I was approached by the United Way to ask the council if we would like to officially endorse this movement. It is a movement, not a fundraiser, so really it's about where they focus the efforts of the money that's coming into the United Way. They are happy to come and do a presentation for us if we would wish. I didn't want to move this any further forward as far as a resolution or anything without getting a feel from the council as if this was something that we wanted to move forward with or not. So I don't know if you've all have had an opportunity to really look very closely at that. Really, it's about just where they're directing their funding.
Comments? Peter?
Well, we participate with the United Way, correct?
We do,
Okay, so why wouldn't we endorse this? All they're looking for is guidance, correct?
yes.
Okay, so I don't see any reason not to.
They did specify 2032 goals on there, and there is a pre-written statement in the packet that they're just looking for us to endorse. So, I mean, the goals are primarily educational and based in financial independence for residents, things like that, so.
And help.
And health, correct. If the council is interested, I will move this forward as a resolution. Next month, you all can vote on the actual adoption of.
As far as being interested, you just want to take a show of
We'll
hands.
just take a show of hands, interested in having to come to a resolution next month. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Erica, maybe it would be their benefit to come in and have a short presentation, short.
I can certainly schedule that if that's what you all want.
I don't know what other people feel.
Next
Next,
item.
Lisa?
Taconic Bridge.
Okay, this is on here, and I just want to say, since I put this on here as a discussion item, I have spoken with Rebecca Green over across the river. Rebecca is the Waterville Council Chair. Steve Daly had reported, well, actually, the engineer over in Waterville had reported early last week that Waterville and Winslow had decided not to go forward with the lighting on the bridge. I was a little surprised by that statement, and I think MDOT was a little surprised by that statement. But so I got a hold of Steve, and I think basically what happened is that it was never brought before their council, and the council did not really, the council's never voted on it at all, but the council chair and the mayor did not really understand what we were talking about doing with the lighting on the bridge. Since talking to Rebecca Green today, she thinks that we can salvage the effort. They may want to go with the dark sky compliant lighting because they have concerns about environmental factors. I told her that we went with a dark sky compliant waiver on this side, feeling that there was plenty of light pollution in that particular area already, and that the additional cost to a dark sky compliant fixture was probably not going to help all that much in this particular location. MDOT is a little bit in the lurch on this. They need to know which way we're going sooner rather than later. So Waterville will be meeting on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have a way forward with this. I did tell Rebecca, and I told Steve Daly as well, that I fully intend to put it before the council that we take on the cost in Winslow and just do it. And I don't know that you all will vote for that or not, but that will be something I'll put before you to decide on, because I think the Taconic Bridge is one of the key pieces of our beautification efforts coming across into Winslow. The price is actually less. When I first brought it to you all last year, the price was approximately $50,000 per town. The numbers they gave us just recently is $44,000 per town, so it's actually a little bit better than what they originally told us, but that's with the non-dark sky compliant lighting. If we were to go up to the dark sky compliant lighting, that's going to add some additional cost that would probably put us just over that $50,000 mark. But again, if Winslow were to go on their own, we'd be telling MDOT what we want to go with. MDOT doesn't have a dog in the hunt as far as like dark sky compliant or not. We just needed to do a waiver, which in our case we did. We put it in our capital budget, unfortunately, and Steve was apologetic. None of that happened over on the other side of the river. So, but I will say that Rebecca Green told me that she is wanting to, she wants us to have a good working relationship together, and she doesn't want to have this be a hiccup in our relationship across the river. So I just wanted to bring that before you, since I don't know for sure that they're backing out at this point. I'm not asking you to fund the whole thing at this time, but if that should come to pass, I would put it before you all for a vote.
Question I have, Erica, that is $44,000 in addition to, over and above what the state will put in on their own?
That is correct. We have to pay for any decorative lighting. What the state will install will be the standard Cobra head lights.
So then we'd have to pay an extra 44 to get the...
Yes.
Okay. Peter?
The more I think about this after our initial discussion, I would assume that the state would use the LED lighting like they use like on Main Street in Waterville, which if you go down through at night, I think it's attractive lighting. At this point of the game, with our budgets the way they have been and the amount of money we have to spend going forward in this town, I would say let MDOT put up the lighting they normally put up on it. It's their bridge. My concern would be if we pay for part or all of this lighting, let's say we pay for part of it, are they going to, in the future, who's going to maintain these lights if we own them?
We don't own them. MDOT still owns them.
Okay.
But because of the additional cost, we have to kick in the additional above and beyond what a standard light fixture would cost. We do not have any ownership as far as maintenance. We have to pay the electric bill, which we already pay. We pay half, water bill pays half. Again, yes, MDOT owns the bridge. We already put this in our capital budget as far as the larger cost of the $50,000. We socked it away in two tranches that you all voted on for this budget, in the capital plan. So the money is set aside on our end. Waterville is the question.
Again, I'm even questioning whether or not we want to spend the money. If we've got the money budgeted and it's set aside, so be it. I myself would not be in favor of paying Waterville's share. If they don't want to be part of it, we go to standard MDOT lighting.
If Waterville comes in, then you would approve of, you would say it was a good idea?
You already approved?
We've already approved it.
We've already approved it.
Yeah.
Well, we can disapprove it. Can't we?
We could.
I have some concerns on spending that kind of money now. Even though it's budgeted and put aside, we can still allocate that to something else. For 44,000, 50,000, whatever. I don't know if I was on the count, I was on the budget, so that doesn't make any difference, but I now have misgivings about spending that extra money for improved light, well, I don't know if it's improved lighting, but more aesthetic lighting, when I would have confidence that what the state is gonna put in is gonna be more than adequate to handle the bridge.
No one's saying it won't be adequate.
Yeah.
That is not the
Yeah.
question at all. The question is aesthetics, the question is the beautification of this town, the question is bringing in business and investors to come to this side of the river. That doesn't happen with saying good enough. We have economic development funds put away in TIF that are available for this. I can't just repurpose it to just anything you want to do as far as infrastructure goes. It's gonna have to be economic development monies. So, yes, I can repurpose it for something else, but there may not be much to repurpose to if we don't start on the most obvious and glaring aspects of our streetscape.
I was gonna say, the reason that we gotta chip in that 44 is basically on the Sebesticook Bridge. I was the one that started it. We put in ornamental light poles, and we chipped in the cost of those above and beyond what the regular DOT light poles would have been.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
That's what we're gonna should keep doing.
What if Waterville doesn't want to participate? Do you think we should spend $88,000?
No, remember, you're in a different community. At that time, we'd have to make a decision to either go with just one flow or this DOT standard.
Will MDOT allow half
I
of the
don't
road?
think so.
It would look ridiculous anyway.
Okay, well, I'll just finish. If they go along with it, we've got it budgeted, it has to come out of TIF money, as you say, that cannot be spent for anything. And I can tell by the tone of your voice, you feel strongly on this?
I do, because I think
No, well, let's go. But
my focus has been, and you all know I feel strongly about this, about how this town looks and about bringing in the dollars that are going to allow us to make this a town that people want to invest in. And by people, I mean new residents, I mean new businesses. Keep in mind, our tax rate has gone up, but it's because we provide a lot of services. Right now, our taxpayers, our residents are bearing the brunt of those services because we don't have very many businesses paying taxes. And if we continue to just say we're gonna be a residential community, we are going to continue to make our residents bear that burden. If we want to get businesses to invest in this town, there's going to have to be some investments we make as well. So yes, I do feel very strongly about it. I think that bridge is, quite frankly, I don't think the lighting's enough, to be honest with you. I would have liked to see more decorative stuff go along the pedestrian railways along there that would actually have had bump outs for people to be able to sit and watch the river. If I had had my way, but all of that costs money, so the idea was just that we look at the railing. I can tell you that the first people to put forward the idea was actually the Growth Council and the Mid-Maine Chamber, because their job is to try and help us figure out how to attract business to our area. So, again, it's the council's vote, but yes, I do feel strongly about it. And like I said, I'll always advocate for that until You guys make a decision and tell me otherwise, and then I'll bring forth whatever you decide.
I think the first step is Waterville. When is Waterville, you're gonna know Waterville?
They're meeting on
yourself?
Wednesday, and hopefully I will hear from Rebecca Green after that. At this point,
Is she on board with our line of thinking?
she is, except for she wants the dark sky compliant. Yes, so,
And she wants the dark side compliant?
because of the environmental impacts of, I don't pretend to be an expert in dark sky compliant. Paul maybe could even explain better than I can, but when it's light pollution.
That's basically what it is light pollution. They don't want the light going up, they want it to stay dark.
Right.
Light pollution.
Yes.
It's a thing.
Huh?
It's a thing.
Yeah.
So if Waterville approves it, we really don't have, if Waterville approves it, we really don't have any action because we've already budgeted for the money. If Waterville approves, we budgeted 50, it might cost 44. We just move on with what we're doing.
If it was to be more than the 50, I would have to come back to you.
If it's more than 50, come back to us, and then, at that point in time, maybe prior to, is it a resolution, or is, if we didn't have to, would it be
It would alter the budget, so I believe it would be in order.
in order? Okay, let's do that. And any time in between time that you can pass on any information, I think, to the council, what's the benefit of this versus, the standard lighting? I think that would educate us, and we would feel more good about spending, not spending, but the additional money, whether that's justified or not in the future.
And again, I personally don't feel that it's a benefit to go with the dark sky compliant, given the area that we're talking about. I think there's plenty of light pollution in that area already.
I still don't get light pollution.
But,
You guys work it out,
yeah.
work it out, and then come back
But I
to
will
us.
certainly do the research to give you as to why those people who feel that light pollution is a problem, that we should be doing that.
Okay,
So,
just,
I think a bridge needs, needs all the lighting it can get.
No, they agree with that. It's not about the lighting coming down. They want bright light on the bridge deck itself. So that's why we had to go with much taller structures than what we have on the Sebastopol, because this is a much wider and longer bridge. But they don't want the light going upward. So,
for whatever reason, the bridge at night is being used more than it's ever been used before, in my opinion. I don't have statistics, but when I cross the bridge with my truck all the time, there's people just going back and forth more than I think. It's my impression that it's more than there has been.
Well, do you want to take a show of hands on this, or?
Well, Eric's gonna prepare something.
I'm just gonna report back to you as to what they do first.
There's no action that can take until.
Mostly, I just wanted to make you all aware of what was going on, and,
I don't think I would be in favor of paying for the whole bridge.
No.
I wouldn't.
No.
Okay? Last
Next
one,
item.
Lisa.
Last item is property maintenance ordinance proposal. Amos.
Do you want me to go back to the podium like last time? or-
yes, please.
Were they here for the ambulance?
No,
No.
but they're supposed to be.
So, most of this has stayed the same from last time. There've been a few sections that have been changed. I sat down, had a meeting with Erica, we discussed some revisions. I also, I heard from a few of you as well on some revisions you guys were interested in, some of your feedback. And then I did also send this off to Town Attorney Bill Lee to revise it as well, to get his opinion on it as well. He made some good remarks and some good changes to just the enforcement violations and penalties extension section, sort of obviously like the more legal section. I feel like the most contentious part of this ordinance, from what I've heard from members of the public, is the grass and weeds section. A lot of members of the public are pretty rightfully asking how we're going to enforce that. I put it in there because a lot of nearby towns and cities do have some sort of grass or weed ordinance, and I was, drawing on nearby communities to try and draft this up. It would definitely be something very difficult to enforce. I know that some people are very much in favor of it, some people are against it. I want to remind you guys, obviously, you guys know you can amend this if you choose to keep it in, take it out, make it stricter, make it more lax. It's up to you. Has everyone had a chance to look over the revised version that was sent out?
Little got one in my package.
Okay.
The one we get in that packet, right?
Yeah, it would have been in the most recent, the packet for this meeting that you would have gotten from Lisa, so. Are there any questions from the counselors as to some
The
of the
only
revisions?
issue I had was the 6 inches.
Okay.
I think that's not really a great idea.
Well, that's what I've heard a lot of too. I mean, some people in the summertime keep it at 6 inches so it doesn't burn.
Right.
Um,
Well, I do it because of the dogs, so
But
they tear
again,
everything
you
up.
know, my opinion of this entire ordinance is to get it on the books, get something on the books so we have something to work with. I do think that 6 inches should be amended.
To what?
Let's talk about it.
10, 12. Rocky, you're the expert on that.
I won't say an expert. Just in general, yeah. So industry standards usually 3 to 4 inches in the summer, just because of burning and stuff. And then they recommend no more than a third of growth before you mow it again. So that would still put you under the 6 inches, but I mean, 6 inches is gonna be a hard one to stomach. That's what I've heard in my neck of the woods. 9 to 10 would be more reasonable, I think.
Right, and when I had originally proposed this, I'd put 10 inches. I'd revised that on recommendation. So,
You can blame that on me.
I wasn't gonna pin it on you.
It is me, and the reasoning I put in there, because, and I don't have, I mean, if we want to raise it, I don't have a problem with that. My thought process in that was, again, the areas that we do want to enforce are going to be that commercial corridor. And in the commercial corridor, 10 inches is still going to be pretty gnarly looking. But,
Especially with weeds.
yes, but you can't specify that you can have 10-inch grass but not 10-inch weeds. So you're kind of, that's where you're at. That's why I had recommended the 6 inches. If you all want to go with 10, at least it gets us somewhere to start.
And the other thing is, if you mow your lawn, what about weed whacking? After you got 12-inch, you know, some people don't weed whack every third or fourth time mowing. So typically, a lot of times you see higher grass around.
I see this entire ordinance, or not the entire ordinance, but at least the grass height and the weed height, that, you know, that will be policed by the neighbors of any given property at any given time. We certainly don't have the time or the resources to go start riding around and seeing whose grass is at 12 inches.
Right, I'm gonna be responsible for enforcing this, and I'm not gonna be driving around neighborhoods looking for tall grass.
Why not?
Right, I've got way bigger things to
And
do.
the other
Yeah.
question I had was the noxious weeds. I downloaded what the state of Maine considers noxious weeds, which they even have trees in there. There was 27 of them.
That part I can't speak to.
And so I'm just wondering, I mean, the Norway maples we have out front here are actually considered a noxious weed. So,
Interesting.
So that is wording that was put in my original
there's
draft.
a list if anybody wants to look at it.
That is verbiage that was used in my original draft,
Yeah.
that I'm not gonna lie,
I mean, and there's
I
actually some, a
took
lot
that,
of
I took that verbiage from.
perennials actually
Waterville,
that in the past were legal, but now are no longer legal, so.
I know Rosa rugosa is falling into that now. It's considered an invasive when it used to be commonly used, so
Yeah,
that does change regularly. So having an ordinance that can accommodate those types of changes would probably be,
Again, guys, let's get something on the books. If we all agree on 10 inches, let's go to 10 inches. As far as weeds are concerned, can there be a paragraph or a sentence put in here that all commercial properties will be kept at a reasonable, you know, presentable stage at all times? I don't know. But again, let's get something done, and we could sit here till midnight talking about grass height, weed height, what kind of weeds you can have, what kind of weeds you can't have. I'm really not into that.
I just say, right now, let's show of hands to change from 6 inches to 10 inches. All those in, Dale, through the chair, could you take a poll?
Yeah, we'll have a poll, 6 inches to 10 inches.
No, 10 inches or more.
10 inches or more.
Or more?
More.
Inches or
Not
less.
more.
Not more.
Not more,
10
right?
inches or less.
10 inches.
10 inches or
maximum.
less, right?
10 inches or less.
Maximum.
10 inches or less.
What do you do for,
Jerry, we're taking a vote on, a hand vote first, on Ray's suggestion to go from 6 inches to less than 10 inches. So we're all in agreement, Jerry, that we're gonna increase the 6 to 10
yeah.
to start with? Okay.
Okay, now the question I had was, how about commercial properties that were foreclosed on by a bank or a residential property, where the banks don't go out and mow these lawns?
They'll be subject to fine because they're the property owner, and actually by law, they're still supposed to maintain them. Doesn't matter that they're not on site, they are liable for maintaining the property, as long as they own it.
If I may as well, we do also still already have a vacant or abandoned building ordinance that has similar property maintenance standards already written into it. It's just that they only apply to vacant or abandoned buildings. So if a bank has a vacant or abandoned building, that bank needs to be registering it with the town. And that's an annual renewal registration that they have to continuously register it until they come up with a plan of how to utilize that building. During which there is an ordinance that states they have to cut the grass as well. So
I'd like to see that on our town website. That's the first I heard of it tonight was.
the vacant and abandoned building
Yeah,
ordinance.
so that would be nice just
Okay.
to have that. There's a lot of people out there don't realize that, I believe.
It's in our
in our
codes, you
code.
click
Yeah,
on the
but-
codes, and
You know,
I am also working on, just sort of a side note in code enforcement, a frequently asked questions. If you guys have frequently asked, as counselors, if you have frequently asked questions code related that you guys get, feel free to forward those to me. I can add those to the website as
and I think
well.
that would be a good one, because vacant
Yeah.
house has always been an issue.
yeah, it makes sense to have an FAQ. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be in favor of singling out individual ordinances just because we could duplicate the entire
Oh,
Ecode
I know, but
360 that we pay
There's
for
a lot
it.
of,
But there are certain pieces that, yes, they do fall under things that people ask about a lot.
Yeah.
The property maintenance is something that people are asking about continuously. I'm amazed at how many people actually started bringing this up in the last year. And I think part of it this year is being driven by the rat problem. That's really starting to blow things up. But there's been a few other, I started getting a lot more complaints about 6 months ago. And I don't know what the change is, but all of a sudden, I'm getting a lot of people that are upset about, not just grass and weeds comes up for sure. A lot of people complain about the properties on Bay Street, but we're also getting a lot of complaints about unusable vehicles in yards, things stuffed out in the woods that, shouldn't really be there, trash in the front yard, junk, if your front yard looks kind of like a trophy case, you know what I mean? So, but they have gotten more frequent in the last year, which tells me that people are kind of paying attention.
And if I may too, then that's really the main goal of this ordinance. Grass and weeds, I can give it or take it. The main portion is, just those first couple paragraphs. All structures shall be maintained in a safe, sanitary, and non-hazardous condition. And examples, refuse, household trash, junk, debris, scrap lumber, metal, inoperable machinery, parts thereof, glass, unused and inoperable appliances, worn and unused furniture. Just that list right there is 80% of the complaints I get when it comes to property maintenance is, why are they allowed to just throw their couch in their backyard and let it sit there for months? It's not that I can do about it right now, so.
So I guess the
What
next
what
step
about the
is
noxious
a-
weeds, though? Did we want to do something with the noxious?
I would take it
want to
out,
amend to
really.
remove
I
that?
mean,
Where it's sort of vague.
I mean, what, does it
Yeah.
include stuff like poison ivy, poison oak? Is
There's
it,
the list. It's a little bit of everything. There's a lot of irregular perennials, like I said, that now are not allowed, like the Norway maples. You can't buy red maple anymore. Sumac, we just removed some sumac
Right.
down in Portland that was sold as a plant, so.
interesting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff, so I would maybe stay away from that, because it's gonna be
Well, I don't think we want to be in the business of forcing people to remove,
the perennial beds.
yeah, stuff like that.
Through the chair, can you do a show of hands to remove noxious weeds from the ordinance?
Unanimous?
Bill, did you want to weigh in at all on Peter's question about whether we could treat commercial properties differently under this ordinance?
Bill, is there any language we could put in this ordinance saying that if you have a commercial property, AKA a storefront, it has to be kept presentable? And I mean, that's a broad statement, but again, it's something to at least start with.
For example, Bill, just to make it more specific, because I think I know where Peter's coming from. I certainly know where Eric is coming from. With the storefront up to the curb, you get your parking lot, sidewalk, and curb. Along the curbing and along the sidewalk, it's all full of weeds. Is there any way we can suggest, or by ordinance, that any business is responsible for weed whacking the curb sides and keeping the weeds down on the curb sides? Like Waterville does it with snow removal, I believe,
That
on
is correct.
sidewalks.
And that would be similar. So I think you probably could do something. And it is amazing how grass can grow in a small crack in an asphalt sidewalk. I can't get it to grow on my lawn, but it seems to grow without a water source and so forth. So, yes, I think you could do something. I guess the question would be,
Even residential homeowners with a house, their front lawn, the sidewalk, and the curb, and they'll let the weeds on the curb grow 2 or 3 feet. So
Well,
it
if
may
it's
not
gonna-
only apply to businesses, but residential also.
premises and exterior property shall be maintained free from weeds or plant growth in excess of, and you're going to be saying 10 inches. That's not restricted to residential property.
Yeah.
That statement, it would apply to any property.
Yeah.
I think the question, though, was, could it be shorter on a commercial? Because 10 inches in front of a storefront is
Right.
pretty unsightly. I'm just wondering if it would be something that you could actually, I just think when we start making different levels in different places, we start running into a lot of problems.
From a legal standpoint, yes, you could. It's not some type of invidious discrimination to say that a business has a limit of this and a residence has a slightly different limit. You do have the enforcement question, though. If you have multiple heights and you're just going to have to carry a ruler with them, and but that's your discretion. But you must think about the enforcement issue at the same time.
But can that limit be extended from their parking lot through the sidewalk out to the curb? Let's say on, and I'm picking this out just for Bay Street, for example. Can a business or any business there, if that's only a state right of way, or that type
Well,
of thing?
Waterville, for example, it's a public sidewalk, and Waterville has a requirement for snow removal on the part of the property owner adjacent to, or, next to a section of sidewalk. And if you were to regulate weed length or whatever, it would be similar.
How often
Okay.
does Waterville enforce that?
They just went and started clearing the sidewalks on Main Street last year because businesses weren't. Because I knew one of the businesses down there, and they were having issues that when people were complaining because it was a hazard, businesses
Yeah.
weren't taking good.
One of the means of informal enforcement is the possibility of the store owner being liable if somebody slips out front. If there's an obligation to clear it, it's not cleared, somebody slips and is injured. That rationale would not apply to grass, however. So, and you have, to get into a situation, you have to be defining, you know, I mean, businesses are located and some of them have a sidewalk right in front of them, some of them have a parking lot, and they're behind the parking lot, and then there's a sidewalk out in front of that. Are they to be responsible for that sidewalk, which starts looking somewhat remote from the location of their store? I mean, you have to look at all of that so you clearly define what the responsibility is.
Well, is that what you wanted, Peter?
Well, no. Yes and no. Again, this could drag out till midnight by the sounds of things it's gonna. All I asked was, can a paragraph be added to this ordinance that says any commercial real estate, any business in town will take care of their property in an acceptable fashion, presentable. I mean, something that we could go to a property owner and say, excuse me, but the weeds are a foot tall out front here. Do you think you could take care of that?
Well, I think under the grass and weed section of this ordinance, you can do that right now.
At 10 inches, as you know, a 10-inch weed in front of a business is unsightly. So,
You could add a paragraph that would say that commercial properties can come up with a different length. In other words, you could differentiate between residential and commercial. I'm not bothered by that from a legal standpoint.
You're not? Okay.
It passes the rational basis test.
how about you, Ames?
That makes sense to me as well.
Okay, well then let's come up with a different height, right now with a show of hands for a commercial property.
6 inches. Max. Go back to the 6 inches for commercial. Talking that much.
Okay. I was gonna say 4, but okay, 6 inches.
Well,
Let's come up with
Rocky
something.
says too, it may be 3 or 4, and then it grows.
We've
to
taken-
all-
If it's a sidewalk, if it's, I mean, that's a different situation.
Well, you know the legality of a sidewalk is the property owner owns to the center of the road.
Yeah.
Okay? They own that property, they own the sidewalk. That being said, the state has a right-of-way so many rods wide, depending on how many rods 6 feet. So I myself have always taken care of everything, including the sidewalk and the curbing. But if,
What you're really trying to do here is have some language so that our code enforcement officer can go and talk with somebody and point to an authority.
Exactly.
I doubt that the town is going to say, okay, Mr. Lee, would you take so-and-so to court because their
They're
grass
7
was
inches.
7 inches?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get compliance. And I can say in Waterville, several instances where basically the neighbors police it. They call code enforcement,
Right.
somebody let their grass get about a foot high, code enforcement makes a call, guess what? The grass gets mowed. Nobody wants to tangle over something like that.
Right.
And I think we put some self-help language in here also, because sometimes you get essentially an abandoned property and the grass gets 2 feet high. You know, if this allows us, if there's been no response to a corrective order, to mow it and then bill the owner.
correct.
Because you know what happens, I mean, it's your next door neighbor that they walked away from the property, you're sitting there with the grass growing all summer long. All you want to do is see that property be mowed. And if you can't get a hold of the owner, you get no response, there is a self-help provision here. Because again, what we want is compliance, I don't want to be dragging people off to court on aesthetic violations. But we want to be able to have some teeth to be able to ensure compliance.
To at least talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've decided on 6 inches for commercial, 10 inches for residential. Anything else, Amos?
Nope, I'll work with Bill on phrasing there, get the commercial part worked into that paragraph, and I'll get this out to you, hopefully finalized so that it can be voted on. And aside from grass and weeds though, just to touch on everything else real quick, so the other part where I listed off refuse, household trash, does anybody have any comment about that? Is that pretty much, everyone pretty much understands what I'm going for there?
Yep.
Everyone pretty much,
Yeah.
okay. Any other, if you guys have any other comment or?
I don't.
Really quick.
Sure.
Right now, for like the grass issue, the only organization in town right now would be the Park and Rec Department, would be responsible for mitigation of a situation. Is that true, Erica?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I need.
Or you can hire somebody private to do it.
We can, I mean, that going forward, however the town manages to get that done, whether we hire a third-party entity or whether we send our own crews in there, what we can ask back for is what it cost us to do the job. It's not gonna be like, okay, we're gonna charge you $150 no matter what to mow your lawn. It's, you know, if we had to pay a third party, what did the bill come in
Okay,
at?
that's all I, yep, no
So,
problem. Yep, okay.
So just a quick question, so we'll have a public hearing next meeting and then we don't vote on it till the following?
you can vote the same
We
night.
can, all right, so this public understands.
Yeah.
Let's get something on the
There's
books
also,
as soon as
there's also,
possible.
yeah, one other thing is that October, first reading, November, second reading, December, the 30 days is up. Obviously, we're not gonna enforce something. We could extend the effective date of the ordinance into at least April or May,
April would probably
so that
be-
everybody knows it's coming,
Has a
and it's
chance.
coming, and it's coming, it's coming.
Yeah, it doesn't have
And
to
get
go into
ready.
effect 30 days after, that's just our
Yeah.
minimum.
Hard to
time.
see stuff under snow anyway.
Yeah, but make sure that people are well informed in advance that come springtime, this is gonna kick in.
Yeah.
It's a start.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Oh, wait,
No,
pardon?
no.
I'm-
No. eh,
Well,
If I may, I need to be excused.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Deb?
Through the chair,
yes.
I am remiss and did not fully understand what our fire chief was telling me to do. He wanted to amend his monthly report, because in his monthly report, he wanted to recognize our new fire employees. So we have here our new deputy fire chief, Scott Bolduc.
Mr. Chair, Madam Town Manager, and Council, I'm here on behalf of the Fire Department to recognize one of our newest members, assigned right now to B Crew. This is firefighter Preble. Yeah, she's doing a great job.
Welcome aboard. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Sorry it took so long, I apologize for that.
That's okay.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. Show of hands,
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody wants to end this.
unanimous.